Hello and welcome to my channel, or back to my channel, as so many of us content creators say. Today I'm going to talk about something very personal, and it's not super personal, it's societal. The murder of Rob and Michele Reiner by their son. Um, that has affected me greatly in ways that I just find myself stopping, looking down for a moment, and shaking my head. It's beyond my comprehension that happened. And yes, Rob was and his wife were both beloved celebrities, activists, whether you were uh, on their side or not. It doesn't matter. He was a decent human being, a talented individual. But why has it affected me so much? Most things don't affect me this way. I feel sad about things. Like when Rebecca Schaefer, the actress, was murdered by a fan when she opened the door and was shotgunned, and others. John Lennon, shot and killed. I felt bad about it, but I'm a realist, and I know that life is life, and as unfathomable as the behaviors are, I it didn't affect me this way. Perhaps it's because it's their own son did this. This is so rare, as I will mention again in this video. It's so rare. So rare that you can almost not find anything about a celebrity and their wife, or a celebrity by itself being murdered by their own child, or even a relative, close relative. It's affected me deeply. And you know what? I wasn't even a big fan of Rob Reiner in the early days, or Sally Struthers on All in the Family. I thought they were a bit quirky and odd, but I mean, it was a bit fun. But I like Carol Connor and Maureen Stapleton. Uh, they were the why I watched, not really for Gloria and Meathead. And I saw Rob and some other things. I'm not super impressed. I mean, I didn't dislike him. I just wasn't a big fan of his acting. But then he got into directing, and then he started writing and doing things and producing, and he directed some of the most beloved movies of mine. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Princess Bride, and so many others. It boggles the mind. And it got me thinking about a TV show. And I'm going to mention that now and talk about that for a moment or two. And there was a TV series called Huff with Hank Azaria, who played Dr. Craig Huffstadt, a psychiatrist who was supposed to have it all together professionally. And it was a good, mostly comedic series, but why my brain connected it to this was that Huff loved his brother. He wanted to believe in him. He needed to believe in him, even though he was a psychiatrist. Families do this all the time in real life. They see progress and cling to it. They reinterpret red flags as just a rough patch. They want to believe the person they love is finally stable. They convince themselves that history won't repeat. And in the TV show, the final episode, Huff's brother, schizophrenic, in a facility, on medication, he gets out. In fact, Huff helps him come out and back to living life. He's doing well. He's doing great. He meets a girl. He falls in love. And then he's feeling pretty good. I don't need that medication anymore. And then he spiraled and killed the woman he loved. So that's what associated that memory with Michele and Rob Reiner. They wanted to believe in the sun. They had hope. They ignored the red flags, reinterpreted them as just a rough patch, hoping they were finally stable, because the sun did have some stable periods. But he destroyed their guest house before in a rage. I believe it was cocaine-fueled rage. He's done other things. And they were probably blanking out the warning signs. And, in fact, even enabling him, being a rich family, they enabled him to not finally come to where he needed to be. In fact, Rob Reiner even helped him get a movie made about his book, but his life got him situated, but he didn't do too much. But then he needed much more care and monitoring. And that's some tragic thing that happens with families. We don't see, and we hope it's not going to repeat. But it can. And the celebrity, you can blame part of that on he could never live up to his father or whatever, but Rob could never live up to his Carl Reiner's level either. I mean, to his name. But he eventually did, but he had to work hard at it, and he kept pushing, and he did it. He did it with kindness and honor, humility, and love. And they had hoped their son would finally get over it, would finally mature. And when someone says to you, "Oh, I'm feeling great now, I don't need that medication anymore that keeps me stable," that's a warning sign. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's your mom, your brother, your wife, your child. If you see little things. When he destroyed the family home or the vacation home or whatever it was, guest house, that should have been the last time he was ever there. But they took him back in. They let him keep coming back. They ignored the warning signs. And now we're going to get into a trial where they're probably going to try to do the Menendez thing. I read something about that. Well, he may actually do that. Uh, who knows? That's what these delusional people, and that's what he is. He's a drug addict whose brain was forever changed by drugs. There was this gymnast, very talented young woman, going to the Olympics, and this was years ago. But she went out to party with some friends before, months before she was due to go to the Olympics. Someone coaxed her into trying a drug, and it changed her brain chemistry completely. It opened something up, or it broke something free, or it made her an addict overnight. And all of her drive and all of her energy for her sport that she devoted her life to, the next day meant nothing. And she became a drug addict. She never went to the Olympics. She never did her sport again. And I've known people like that, whereas some of us can go out and do a drug or do many drugs and drink and whatever. Some people can't. One drug can change the brain chemistry to the point where they're almost no longer themselves. They will never be themselves again. And this, I think, happened to Rob and Michelle's son, and he just was never going to get better. Not permanently better. Not outside of a controlled environment. And you know what I mean by that. I almost want to say it was time to bring back the mental hospitals, the asylums, because we've got too many people out here doing things that are just beyond the pale. I mean, it's just, even on social media. Rob and Michelle's son should have never been in that home again. Have he, well, invite him home, but have other people there to be alone with him. But who would have thought he would have done this? It is so unusual, so super rare for the child of a celebrity to kill the celebrity. Who would have thought? And sure, somebody gets violent, throws things around and punches walls. They never punched you. Then one day, they stab you to death or shoot you in the back of the head for whatever reason. And so, that's what knit together my mind, that fantasy of Huff and what happened to Rob Reiner. We've all heard of celebrity kids abusing their parents or taking advantage of them or whatever, but to murder your own parents, world famous parents, nice, decent people, beloved, is beyond my ability to process that, to come to terms with it. I've had death in my life. I've experienced friends and family dying. I've even experienced friends and family being murdered. I've met a lot of people in my life, known a lot of people. I even found some of my friends. I thought it was cursed for a while, but I found 4 friends over a period of years. That was the one that discovered their body after a suicide, and that affected me deeply. But this really just, this Rob Reiner thing just blew me away beyond my comprehension. And I think it's affecting me because even though I wasn't a big fan of his acting in the early days, or didn't hate it, but didn't, they weren't a primary concern of mine, Gloria or Meathead. I wasn't really super impressed with them. That's probably because Carol O'Connor was Maureen. Uh, Over the top, they were the best of the best. But they were part of. He's been around most of my life. And his dad for sure was. Big part of my growing up life. Television and everything else he did. And then he went on to direct unbelievable number of movies that wrote and direct some of the best movies of my life. And was instrumental in Seinfeld, which is a show I always loved. So that's why it's affecting me, I think, that much, because it was something you couldn't even imagine happening to him. You might, in the back of your head, think some celebrity that you know and love, if they got killed, it might not affect you that much, or you feel bad about it, but because you could see the guys or the woman or whatever, based on their roles or whatever, you got an impression of them. You won't take that so deeply, but it would bother you. But Rob Reiner, and his wife by their own son. So I just wanted to vent a little here and get that out of my system. I'm hoping I'll stop shaking my head. I don't look forward to this trial coming up with his son. I feel bad for him. I don't hate him. You know? I see him in pictures with them. He looks a little special. And by that I mean special needs. There's just something about his eyes. I don't hate him. I don't hate Mark David Chapman. And I love John Lennon. I don't hate people. But some people need to be in controlled environments. They need to be controlled, or they need to be put to sleep. One or the other. I don't believe in punishment for someone who's a mental case, be it a drug addict or a schizophrenic or whatever. They need to be controlled or put to peace. And that's all I have to say today. Agree with me or don't, but this is how I'm feeling. A real person. Take care, and I'll talk to you again at another time.